Greetings, my fine fellow Cape Crusaders of Justice with animal themes as I. Oh, good. And today I'm here to talk to you about Absolute Batman. Yes, talking about comic today. But yeah, so if you haven't heard, Absolute Batman is a thing, and it essentially is like a new universe, new start, new history Batman thing where they're kind of twisting the origin. The idea is in this one, Batman is going to not have the money, the mansion, and all sort of like that structural power that allowed him to become Batman. Like, so he doesn't have a Batmobile, instead, he has a Bat bike. Instead of like having a butler or growing up like in a mansion, he grew up kind of like, I guess, middle class sort of family thing. Instead of his parents being like wealthy millionaires, his dad was a teacher and his mom was a social worker, and that kind of changes the dynamic of a whole lot of things with Batman as a character. But at the core, it's still Bruce Wayne. It's still like the super smart genius detective person who's going to figure everything out. And it's a really interesting take because this book, without really getting into anything just yet, is like it's playing on what you know, because it knows everyone is going to know what Batman is about, even if you're not like the most familiar with the comics or most familiar with anything. As long as you know what Batman is, it's going to play with some things. It's going to mess with some stuff because it's using all the big like aspects of Batman in this first issue to reintroduce it. And how they reintroduce it is actually kind of great because we get a sort of point of view slash ride along character in the form of Alfred. And Alfred in this version is very different, but also very akin to what people know. Because in this version, they're playing off the idea of Alfred being like related to like Black Ops or British Special Forces and stuff. And he's coming back into town after being gone away for so long, and seemingly has no connection to the Waynes. He's just a Black Ops dude, and is just checking some shit out with this horrible gang that's popped in called the Party Animals, which plays into the name of this arc that they're calling it. That's going to be our introductory arc called The Zoo, which that's good because Batman, animal, with a lot of what they're theming around, I have a feeling that that's just, they were like, we're going to have fun with this name. Especially because that's actually also how they change the origin of Batman. Because they change up some stuff and place it in a zoo this time. But yeah, so essentially what we do is we just follow through Alfred as he kind of investigates these party animals, and we sort of learn the dynamics of like, oh hey, here Gordon's mayor. Gordon is mayor. He is trying his best, but like this gang is just ripping through Gotham. We know that like these guys all wear masks and they just are like going insane. They're kind of like the mutants, but like also sort of an amalgamation of a bunch of other like gangs that we might have seen in Gotham before. So it's just like, oh god, they're freaking insane and they're going to town. Alfred's just there to observe. His boss tells him you just gotta observe. While also like throwing in some character drama where he's like, my daughter's in town. I better. Oh no, she hates me. Damn. Okay. Well, that sucks. Well, back to observing people dying horribly. And then we sort of cut to our introduction to Batman, which is, well, the first page shows us young Bruce Wayne, but throughout the entire issue, we see flashbacks of this new take on the origin, and it's interesting. It's a very different take, and also sort of goes into this weird parallel with Batman now being more street level in his origin, kind of like comparing him to Spider-Man a bit, but also I think deliberately swerving in a way to like avoid that comparison. Is still like being like, oh no, this is not us trying to make Batman Spider-Man. This is still very clearly Batman in both iconography, feel, and usage of the character, but things are just going to be a little different. And so like we get our intro to proper like adult Bruce Wayne by sort of doing a little fake out where it's like, oh, it's a dude who looks like Bruce Wayne in his build. Like he's more like, he's built, but he's not huge. Like punching at one of those little punching bags in the boxing gym. And then Bruce Wayne comes out and he looks like, I want to say like 10 drumsticks in terms wrapped around his leg. And like, he looks like Bane, basically. He is like thick with 3 no, 5 C's, and is just a mountain of meat, and just punches this bag after this guy like, hey, yeah, no, no problem, Bruce, yeah, 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 I'm gonna go, and just breaks this thing in a couple punches. And then we get our introduction to Killer Croc, and Killer Croc is just a dude who got like exotic animal pet licenses apparently. Like he's just carrying around a crocodile and like a big ass snake just around him, and it's just like he's petting the crocodile during this entire time he's talking to Bruce, like begging him, like, "Come on, Bruce, come on, come hang out with the guys. Like we're getting everybody back together for poker and stuff. It's gonna be fun." And Bruce is like, "Nah, I got stuff to do." And like then we get our snippet of like sort of Batman's rogues, like this sort of like tease of like what the rogues are and his connections to them, and it's like, oh holy shit, all of the rogues were his old classmates or either like his old buddies or some of them, because what we see is Selina, the Riddler, Penguin, and we saw Killer Croc, like I said. But yeah, like all of these characters, you get little teases, you get little like photo of them as kids, but you don't get to see of them outside of Croc. And Croc is just just a big dude, like he's carrying around a crocodile, so you get it. And his gym is called like Crocodile Gym, and which I just realized that's a joke. I yeah, I think it's called Crocodile. I think that's I am a doofus. But yeah, and that's sort of like our peek into like what the rogues could be. That's our tease there, and it's like, oh dang, what's this? Like, how is Batman going to relate to his rogues now? Are they going to be like cautious allies or enemies? Is it going to be sort of like how in the Earth One books, where a couple of them became sort of Batman's like friends and allies? Because that was another book they did where it was hey, it's a new take on Batman where it's its own universe, no continuity, you don't have to worry about anything. And like that plays on like what your expectations are. And it's oh, that's fun. And then we cut back to Alfred, and he's kind of just tracking through. He's like studying things as we're going to a big mayor meeting where people are discussing about, hey, these criminal gangs are just they're slaughtering people. Thousands are dead, and it's like people are like trying to get Gordon to do stuff, and Gordon's trying to calm them down, and people are angry, and it's like at least with the corrupt mayor previously, he would have done something. And it's like people dividing themselves and getting angry, and then a woman stands up and starts like basically speaking to them to like we have to be together. That's what they want. That's what these monsters want. And then party animals burst in and start. They almost gun down. I think Gordon. Maybe they shoot him a little bit. It's a little vague because it's like one of those semi blacked out panels where his podium gets destroyed, and then we see a cover of Barbara and what she's gonna look like and whatnot. And so like that's a tease about, oh, there's Barbara. Okay, cool. Oh, there's that. And then freaking the dudes, as they're shooting up about to maybe shoot Gordon or all these people, they get grabbed. You see like these little like tiny arms just come in and grab them. They get pulled away. And like we're like, what? And then people are able to look outside and it's, oh my god, there's an army of these dudes. And then we pull out outside. And then you see the dudes look up. And you see like a literal like bat's wings, not like artistic representation where it's kind of like it's a little bit really like the cake is meant to look like them, but like actual bat wings in terms of their shape, like, and having like a skeletal structure in them, and the folds like look like physical bat wings up top of like the little plinth up top of like where you see like in a mare hole, or like where it has like the columns coming down and stuff. And then they start shooting at it, and they not cutting through, and then just Batman descends and he just starts wrecking people. He's just like breaking out all kinds of like action going down. Like he literally takes off his bat ears. He takes them off. They're fucking bat knives, man. His bat ears are bat knives, and he just is going to town. But because Alfred's looking at it all, he's aware. He's like, oh, he ain't going for any of the orders. Anything that would literally kill someone very fast or like lead them to bleed out, he's avoiding all the major stuff. It's just where it like completely disables them. It's like, interesting. Oh, so like that's Batman doing his Batman thing where he's not killing nobody. And then like Batman's cutting through all these dudes, and like he puts the ears back on, and then just this big old jobber wearing like just basically like what, a suit with the shoulders ripped off, and like this weird, because all these guys wear like animal themed masks, I guess, but all of the dudes we see here are like wearing, I want to say ape or like monkey style masks, because I think it's a play on like the whole, since the arc is called the zoo. Like this is the ape enclosure, because you always see a bunch of monkeys together in a zoo, and so that's sort of the play there. Like all these dudes, because we do get like a glimpse of like the ringleader. I think it might. I want to say this might be their take on Black Mask, because again, it's all about these masks and stuff. And he's just got this weird like bulbous mask with a big old dome and a skull face on it, and then he kills basically the old like gangsters and takes over. And then we cut to Batman doing all this, putting on his mask and then fighting these dudes. Um, and like Batman is like nonplussed with this dude bringing out like a big old meat cleaver and says, "His hand has cut off thousands of heads. What are you doing, man?" And Batman nonchalantly pulls out like a little stick thing, punches up to his chest where his Batman logo is, and then takes off the Batman logo, revealing it to be a battle axe. And I'm like, what? That's so dumb, but also so cool. Because it justifies their weirdly shaped Batman logo that you can see on the screen that I have up right now, where it's just like not even shaped like a bat, or like kind of vaguely. It's like the definition of the most abstract you can get, and it just turns into an axe. And he chops off this dude's hand. He just one swoop chops it off, and then tells him, "Hey, they can reattach those things if you get to the hospital fast enough." That was on the left or right. I don't remember which way. And he's just brutalizing all these people, and then you just get a big old splash panel of him looking like the most bestial you can be. And in this entire fight, like he is animalistic in visually, like how he fights, like because we cut a lot to the past and like how like like how they would have like a plan to explain how bats are, like what's neat about bats to like a kid, and then that's paralleled in how Bruce fights, like the bat wings. Like he stands on the bat wings with them and he kicks people with his legs, and then he's like grabbing people with the bat wings. He's like doing all these things that make him extremely like akin to the animal if they were humanized and given form, but still like kind of he's just doing all the gadgets and stuff to great, at least with the knives and stuff. Like he gets his like little bat bracers, but it has the little blades on them. They pump out, and he's good. And it is brutal. It is the most heavy metal of things, and it's glorious, and it is fun. It is the definition of like, okay, yeah, this is like we're seeing some crazy take, and it feels like kind of because it's Scott Snyder writing it, who has done a bunch of Batman work before, and he did a book called Dark Knight's Death Metal, which had like a whole heavy metal thing going on, and it feels like kind of taking some of the ideas there, but like more playing on, instead of like making him look like a rock and roll metal dude with like a monster truck and an undead army. It's more like if he was in like Doom and brutalizing and doing stuff, but also taking from stuff like I want to say Frank Miller's Batman from The Dark Knight Returns, which is a seminal Batman story that I wholly recommend anyone who, if you are not familiar with comics or read anything, definitely go read. That's a fun book. It's a standalone as well, where Batman is also a brick shithouse that is like brutal in his methodologies, but less in sort of like cutting up people and more, oh hey, yeah, hey, this evil gang leader who looks like a mutant but isn't actually a mutant. I'm just going to like break you down and make you not be able to walk again because you're a crazy psychopath who eats people, kind of. No, not really eats. He just bites off a dude's face. Um, but yeah, so that's clearly like a thing that they're playing from, in, or at least I want to say probably just in terms of like the sheer bulk of Batman and how brutal he is like when fighting. And then from there, like freaking, we follow Alfred as he tails Batman. He's like, I see, but I'm clever. You see, I'm a detective. I'm an agent, and I know stuff. I can track down who this is. This is Bruce Wayne. His father died at a zoo where he sacrificed himself to save all of his students because he was a teacher, and so that's the new origin. Like Thomas Wayne is gunned down after saving all of his students on a zoo trip that Bruce won for all of his classmates because he was a genius who designed this sort of foldable, retractable bridge patterned after bat wings that would help in like disaster areas. So it's like, oh, Bruce is super smart as a kid, and that's still established. Like he's a genius and he wants to help people, and then he loses his father, and that's kind of like that's the sort of Spider-Man Peter Parker origin parallel, especially because as we move forward and Alfred's like, oh yeah, no, he went to this college but he faked an injury so he could get all his scholarship money and go study in all kinds of things, martial arts, and then abroad. And he came back to Gotham and he like worked in sanitation and building. He worked all over the place where he knows everything about every level of Gotham that like a normal person can get to, because he made the skyscrapers, he built the skyscraper, he built the tunnels, he built all this stuff where he's just in every aspect. Where Batman is all of the people of Gotham essentially. Like that's what he becomes as he's like works through the different jobs and things, so he can also know everything about his city. And Alfred finds, oh, you're a child. You have a mother, and that is your weakness. And he's like about to gun him down while his basically he's coming to see his mom. And it turns out the woman who was uniting everyone during the meeting before the party animals broke in is Bruce Wayne's mom, and she's still alive. And it's like, oh, that's an interesting X factor. One of his parents is still around, and he like is still living with them, or potentially just has them in his life. And that's like, oh, well, that's neat. Because like instead of probably having Alfred as the confidant, it's gonna be his mom, but probably not really, since she seems to be more like she's a social worker. She's gonna be like, you got to reach people and things, but also maybe there's some stuff going on with the masks, because Batman, there's also like technology in them, and maybe they're like driving people crazy because again, criminal organization, and we're just speculating on stuff. I'm just rambling there. And then Alfred basically uh, tracks him again to one of the Bat Caves. And this is another interesting one where the Bat Cave is no longer underground. It's now up in the sky in a skyscraper that was owned by a bunch of people who never intended to finish it. It's like one of those like little money sink plans they use to like write off stuff or funnel money in and out places, and it's just never going to be finished. And so he set up a Bat Cave like on the highest peak. So he helped put them together, and he has like this little desk, and it's all open. And like he confronts him, and just because Batman also took a shotgun against he had, and like that's also a thing that happened during like the big old brawl. And he turned it into the Bat Shotgun and shoots Alfred in the face, but he turned it non-lethal, and it just shot batarangs into his face. So Alfred like just he thinks he's getting up on him, and Bruce is like aware this entire time that he's been followed. He was the one who initially stole his bike at the very beginning of the comic, that he rode into town on and got pissed off about, and now he's just got batarangs in his face, and Bruce just like runs off on the bike into the city as the moonlight goes, as his wings are stretched out, and it's oh this it's a ride of a comic, because it is both a action packed like just blammo of all kinds of neat ideas. It's the perfect whoa, I was not expecting that. That's an interesting take. I wanted to see where that goes, sort of thing. It sets up all these threads that like you want to see. It's like, oh dang, like here's all a couple like the big Batman's robes. Like this is where all they are, and like they're connected to him somehow. What's that going to be like? What are they going to be? How is their design going to be? It gives you that little taste. You get that taster with Killer Croc, and then that picture of the kids. You get the taster of like what the evil like criminal organization is going to be doing, what those sort of thing with the party animals, and then these like dudes wearing masks murdering the old mob families of Gotham, and them like just doing their own thing, and how maybe because the guy who killed Bruce Wayne and shot up the zoo was also wearing masks. Is that connected to there? What could that be about? And then you get like Alfred tracking him down, and like what is their going to be relationship going to be? Is it going to be confrontational? What is it going to be like with his mom? And like it sets up all these things that you want to know. Like you want to have the next issue now, because it's like what's going to happen next? We gotta know. And it's that's that perfect like I want to get your attention. I want to show you something cool. I also want to show you something that will just get you interested to see the next issue. It's the perfect quintessential number one. It gives you some nice taste of everything you want, gives you some stuff that you weren't expecting, and gives you something like to think about and be intrigued by. And that's basically this issue. And it ends in the most way you both not expect it, but also expect it, being a tease for the Joker. And the Joker now is the millionaire. So the Joker is a millionaire, but also he don't laugh. The Joker's humorless. I'm like, oh, interesting. The Joker who don't laugh, I guess, to play on conventions. If you're aware of the Batman who laughs, because, well, he's in Fortnite, so I assume most people know, and also like fan art galore, because that design exploded. But yeah, I'm also framing this context of the video because I haven't talked about comics all that much. So I'm kind of trying to frame my discussion of this through the lens of, hey, people don't know about this stuff. People ain't on the insane bullshit. And even then, I'm not. I'm not a big DC guy. I'm more of a Marvel person or a Valiant person. And even then, I'm more of a X-Men person when it comes to Marvel. Like, I could tell you streams of all the X-Men lore. I could tell you everything for the most part. Asterix, 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 they say. But yeah, so like this was a really, really good first issue. It just intrigues you. It gets you going. And it takes that premise well. Because it's like, hey, we're going to twist on Batman really quick. And it's going to be this one primary twist in the origin that changes up some stuff, which is just where Bruce Wayne was in the order of Gotham. Instead of being on high, he's kind of like middle class. He's not longer rich, which initially had me concerned because the attempt at doing a criticism of that aspect of Batman have all been kind of shit and or shallow because most of them don't seem to understand like, oh hey, Bruce Wayne in literally every other issue is like setting up a social program or whatnot because they're trying to think of it like how an actual billionaire would be and not, Batman, who is a mythological creature who is like a story and is also like innately just good because that's the conceit of like a character. And I get it because they also want to like change things up and try to address things, and they did that a little bit in. I don't remember what the run was, but everyone makes fun of it. I know it's the one before Chip Zdarsky's run, which is I think the current one, where I think they actually gave him his money back, where he wasn't a trillionaire, he's like a millionaire or something. Which there's no conceivable difference in that case because I don't know. It was dumb. It's the most surface level like attempt at trying to observe a criticism, but not really like either addressing it in an interesting way or either using it to tell a story that's interesting. It just kind of is this baseline boring thing that I think people who either don't read comics or people who just want to say stupid shit to say stupid shit want to say, because it's a nothing sort of like attempt at kind of creating a narrative or a like a narrative in the sense of like the story you're telling and a narrative in terms of the criticism, because it's like that doesn't really work. Like maybe if it was like I don't know Iron Man or something, because that definitely plays in it, and I did something with that recently where it's like they had Stark's company get taken away from him, and then he had to like come up with stuff in his mind, and you can play it back to the original origins of Iron Man where he made it in a cave. Because there's stuff there, or like because of the buyout, he got a lot of money, but now he can't be Iron Man because of legal stuff, and that plays into a whole thing with the Iron Man book for a bit. But like with Batman, it never really seemed to work, or at least the only best way to address it, I think, or what I've seen was in Batman White Knight, where it's less Bruce Wayne is the problem, and it's more, oh, Bruce is trying to help the community by building all this shit, as also stealing some bat bunkers. Just put those in there where they're hidden away so he can help people. And oh no, corruption of other normal people, people who aren't in on like the altruism of Batman. Whereas here, like the kind of skew works to the benefit of the story because the benefit of the story is just Batman is a person who grew up like on the bottom rungs of the city, maybe, or I don't know if it's poor or whatever, because teachers are paid shittily and spouses are social workers, so that might not be the best. But also, you live in Gotham, shoo. It's hard to really say because it's living in like a townhouse or something. I'm not really sure. Like we get a tinge of like his home life. It's teasing like ideas and story threads that they can explore in further issues. And so like here it feels like it's actually diegetic, like they're trying to do something here. Like it's probably going to be more about like the gadgets than like or less the gadgets in he's got a car, he's got all these like super fancy tech stuff, and more like the small scale gadgets, like the wings being a thing that he derived from his design that like uses something he can get a hold of, or like an axe that he uses to chop off a jackass's hand, which is still so cool. It's oh god, that's cool and dumb and fun. And I love it. Um, and just kind of playing with that convention and whatnot, and then also him being the bulkiest dude ever, looking like Bane somehow, but probably without using Venom. Okay, what is absolute Bane going to be? That would be insane. Seeing like just what I guess he would be like a freakish Hulk monster because Batman's big, but I don't think he's Hulk big yet. Ugh, God, that'd be I want to see that now. I want to see what their take with Bane would be, and I think that is the best thing you can take from the book. I want to see what they're gonna do next because the artwork is amazing. The setup is very well paid, is well done. It's not contrived or annoying like those other stories where Batman loses money somehow, but it doesn't affect actually how the character is set up. It sets up some interesting things, but still allows the conventions of Batman in there. But in doing so, creates intrigue from like how are those conventions going to be used? How are they going to play off, and what we're expecting versus what they're going to play with. It's like kind of the perfect quintessential like book, and I think that is the best recommendation I can probably say for like absolute Batman #1. But yeah, like that I'm gonna be covering a couple more comic stuff. I'm trying to get more back into more vacant videos, and doing comics are a bit easier because it's just you can do individual books semi faster because I have a hard time reading novels versus like a comic in a quick pace. That and my energy is just kind of all over the place still. But yeah, hopefully I can get more books done up and people can see my thoughts and my blowing the words on such things. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little change up. I'm going to try and do more stuff again, hopefully. I keep saying that, and then, it's months since I make the next video. But I hope you enjoyed this regardless, and I hope to see you in the next issue. Also, if you read this book or are interested in seeing what this is going to be about, definitely check out and put your thoughts down below. What's your thoughts on like the other two books? Because they have Absolute Wonder Woman, where she's going to be the Princess of Hell, and then Absolute Superman, where I don't know what the tagline they put up for that because there is an ad in the actual comic, and I haven't looked up the ads for what Superman shtick is going to be. But like he's got bracers and gauntlets and energy stuff, and based off of the one page like idea thing that they did in this one shot from a bit ago that no one really needs to read if they just are interested in reading a like, oh hey, you can just read this like these books are kind of designed are going to be. Is maybe this is my speculation, is maybe this is Superman without a direct connection to humanity but still being hopeful, because in that little snippet we see is he's on the ground. I think there was a spaceship or anything. Like he may come to Earth fully formed as an adult, but maybe not as a person, and that's going to be their like sort of twist on it. Like Superman is not a child of Krypton; he's a man of Krypton, sent to Earth, and that kind of is going to be effect, kind of like say a Supergirl, but without like having a family member to help assist them in figuring out what the hell is going on with Earth and stuff, but also maybe still having that genuine empathy and goodness that comes from his parentage or somehow meeting people of Earth or something. I don't know. Seems like an interesting twist. Just not sure. All the designs look cool. I can't wait to see them translated into McFarlane action figures. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see y'all and talk to y'all in the next one.